Hello everybody, and welcome to Fundamental Games tabletop simulator playthrough of Legion Champions of Valdyria. This is by EGAD Games. It's an expandable card game, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about it first, and then we'll get into the gameplay. So if we take a look, just Champions of Valdyria is a two-player card game in which each player is going to take on the role of a champion, one of the most powerful of the leaders within their respective factions. We're going to call upon character cards as reinforcements, arm them with powerful items, and show our tactical brilliance through well-timed events. We're going to claim victory by fighting our way through enemy hordes and become the ultimate champion to protect your realm. Alright, so taking a look, I've got a game set up already started here, and I'm going to walk through the different components. What I did want to share with you is that the game does have sort of an unofficial succession to the Warlord card games mechanics. So if you happen to see some similarities there, the game designer did mention that that's part of the game concept. So let's go through the components here. To start with, it's mainly a card game, so almost each player is going to have an individual pre-built deck, or if you have the full game that you can get on Kickstarter, you'll be able to customize your deck with certain cards that are contained within the game. Right now we're playing with two kind of mini decks, testing decks, just to show you how the game works. And so they both consist of 30 cards minus the 6 cards that are already on the table. Looking at the cards on the table, each side will have a champion card. So a champion is the person that needs to win, and if that person loses, the game is over. So we have Casila, who's a tribal champion. She's kind of like a fire wizard in a way. And then we have Nokura, who's the Stone Gorge champion. He's a paladin of the Western Kingdoms. And so what has to happen is when you set up the game, you dig through your deck that you have built, and you have to pick level 2 champion characters and level 1 characters that kind of go in front of your champion. So if you look here, this red line represents this player, and we're going to call them Nokura's army. And then on the green side we have Casila's army, and again she has 3 level 1 characters, 2 level 2 characters, and herself. She starts in rank 3. Alright, and so you're going to see why those ranks matter as we play the game, but let's look at a few other things. We have the initiative token, so each round of play, both players are going to roll a d20, and whoever wins is going to gain initiative. So initiative is what lets them play first, and there are certain cards that may get a bonus if you have initiative. Secondly, there's little banner tokens. So on some characters there's something called an action. So you can see here, action, discard an earth card, ... If you use an action, you can put a banner next to or on your card just to indicate that you use the action this turn, because using a normal action doesn't actually cause your character to become spent, which is the term used to rotate your card when they've used a full action. But we'll get into that in a bit. There are wound tokens. So a wound token would go on a character, and if they have more or the same wound tokens as they have wound on the bottom right there, then they will perish. So this stone splitter can only get wounded once and he dies, but Nokura can be hit 3 times before he dies. And then we have what we call Aegis tokens. So an Aegis token will be given to the character card who lost initiative. So if Nokura wins initiative, then Casila gets an Aegis token. And that token can be used at any point in the game to re-roll a die. So it helps take away some of the luck and gives you a perk for not being able to go first. Alright, so that is the components there. You can see over here I just showcase a couple of the icons that are used. So hit points, skill, armor, ranged, and melee relating to attacks. And then the different classes. So cleric, fighter, monk, rogue, and wizard are going to be represented on these character cards. And then we have the commands. So each turn, each player is going to take turns going through and doing whichever of these commands they wish to. And then on the back side we've got some feat keywords, so just some iconic words in the game. Over here, these are just some images that I found that I liked that are part of this game, so some cool artwork, and Raymond was nice enough to provide that to set this up. And there you have it. That is the complete setup for Legion, Champions of Valdyria. So let's get into some gameplay, why don't we? First off, we have to roll initiative. See who's going to go first. So we roll this die for both players. Nokura got a 4, and Kasila got a 3. So Nokura wins initiative. We're going to put the initiative token over here for the turn, and that means Kasila gets one of these tokens. Alright. So, Nokura gets to go first. What can you do on a turn? Well, turns go back and forth multiple times until both players have no further actions that they want to take, or commands I should say. Don't want to mix up the word command and action. So each player gets to play a command on each turn until the round is over. So Nokura can perform an attack, activate an ability, play a character, attach an item, or maneuver a character up and down different ranks. So again, these ranks are important because characters have what's called a melee attack. So you can see on the top of the card, just to the right of the big 1 icon, there's a little sword, and it says +2. That means when Stone Splitter attacks, he gets to do a melee attack and add 2 to his modifier. Melee attacks can only attack people in the first row, unless for some reason your character is up here. But in this case, people in rank 2 can't do a melee attack because these guys are in their way. They'd have to find a way up here to do a melee attack. So I could do a melee attack, or I could do a ranged attack if I had anybody with range. So range is the bow and arrow icon, and you can see none of my characters have a range attack. So that first command, perform an attack, any one of these 3 characters could attack any one of these 3 characters. Second command I could do is activate an ability. So if I wanted to, I could do a full action, which is that, on Stone Splitter, and he could perform a melee strike that inflicts an additional wound. So instead of damaging for 1 with a successful hit, he would damage for 2. That guy doesn't have an action, that girl doesn't have an action, and then Nokura has an action to discard an Earth card to target a Stone Guard character and remove a wound, or they can perform a free strike. So normally to strike you have to do a full action, but then some cards let you do it without. So that is command number 2, activating an ability. Ability number 3, or command number 3, is to play a character. So at the start of the game, each player is going to draw 5 cards. So to keep things easy, I'm going to put all the cards right here to show you. Alright, so we have Ancient Armor, a Faithful Steed, a Stone Splitter, Loot, and a Western Envoy. So I'm allowed to play a character into the rank that matches their level. So a Stone Splitter I would have to play in rank 1, whereas this heavy hitter, the Western Envoy, he does a lot more damage and does 3 attacks. He has to be played in rank 3, so he doesn't get to join the melee right away. And that way your opponent has time to figure out, how am I going to stop that guy? He's giant. So playing a character into your ranks is an action, or a command. Then you could attach an item. So in my hand I have 2 items. I could attach an item. Now the rules for item are that the item's icon on the top left, first of all, has to match, unless it's generic. So this one is a generic, but if it had an icon like that fist, then only a monk could use that item. I don't have anything like that to show you. So that's the first thing, is the icon has to match or else be generic. Second thing is the person that you're going to attach it to has to have a level plus their rank value to match or exceed that number. So in order to wear Ancient Armor, somebody has to be a rank 4, or sorry, a level 3 in rank 1, that would be the equivalent of 4, which we don't have, or they could be a rank 3 in or rank 1, a level 1 in a rank 3 spot, for example. But either way, the total value has to be equal to or higher than that icon. They can move with it after it's equipped, but just putting it on takes time and effort, and it's hard to do that when you're on the front line of battle. You need to do that when nobody's around. You can get your squire to attach it. Alright, so this piece of ancient armor could go on Nokura because he's got a higher value. Alright, so that's attach an item command. And then finally there's a maneuver a character command. You have to spend a character to move forward, backward, or within the same rank. So if this guy wants to move here, he has to spend, which means rotate him 90 degrees, and he can no longer do other spend attacks or spend functions. If Nokura wants to move up, he could go here by doing a spend action. Now there is some legalities in terms of the structure, so that's why there are ranks. So the legality is that if I have 3 characters here, then I can have 3 in the next row. But if I only have 1 character here, so let's say these guys aren't here, then my rank 2 is not allowed to have 2 characters in it. One of them would have to move forward and spend immediately to compensate for that. So there's a kind of a force rank system that makes sure that your front rank is always the fullest, so that it kind of forces there to always be some kind of combat and action happening. That's the way I look at it. Alright, you'll watch that more as we play the game. So that is the 5 different commands that you can do in your turn. Alright, we're going to break up this video now that I have shown you how the game sets up and how the different commands work. I think I'm going to do a separate video that actually plays through the game. That way the videos aren't extremely long and you can skip forward or not even watch the game if you just wanted to see how the game plays. But in the end, this character or champion has to die for Nokura to win and vice versa. And they can do that by forcing your characters through the ranks. And let's say all these characters got wiped out, that's where that rank system comes into play. She would have to move her way up front and even stun herself doing so. Kind of represents the horrors of war and frustrations of losing your companions, I guess. Alright, so thank you for watching this setup video, I guess, for Legion, Champions of Valdyria, and stay tuned or click to the next video if you can find it for the playthrough.